Hello and welcome to Square Raindrop. I'm Jo Wheeler.
And I'm Steph Coulter, and we're both in different places today.
We are, aren't we? Yes, you're in your garden, which now looks a lot prettier after you moved whatever that was in the lot in the back corner.
Don't know what you're talking about. Didn't do anything.
It was never there.
Exactly.
I am on the 17th floor of the news building in the centre of London, and the view is absolutely fantastic, particularly of the clouds. You can see more in the way of clouds, not least of all because there are more in the way of clouds, but also because you're closer to them. But I think that whole cloud situation, Steffi, is one that we need to discuss because you're soaking up the last of the rays. Actually, they won't quite be the last of the rays, will they? But certainly things on the change over the weekend.
Well, it's really good news for the gardens. My garden is green in the picture, but in real life, it's far more brown and dry than that. I found myself, don't even ask why, clumping along in high heels. And then I had to jump up onto a grass verge the other day. And I thought, oh no, here we go, sink territory. But I didn't. The ground's so hard, it's been baked so hard by the sun, there's no chance of sinking in, which is good and bad. Obviously bad for the plant. So good that we're getting rain at last.
Well, my gardener certainly needs some of that as well. Unfortunately, I need to do an awful lot of gardening before that rain actually arrives, and I think I've run out of time. So, tell you what, Steffi, because it is going to be exciting this weekend, isn't it? Already a yellow warning out for Sunday for widespread thunderstorms across much of the UK, failing actually Scotland and Northern Ireland, I think. But everywhere else could get some of these downpours. Now, do you know, throughout the week, these have been catching everybody out. You know, we've been saying since last weekend, there's a warning out for thunderstorms. Somebody's going, it's hot, it's sunny, it's fantastic. Oh, there's a heat alert, obviously. And you're going, yeah, but the heat alert isn't so much of a concern unless you're of an age and have, you know, some health problems. Please look at these thunderstorm warnings because where you catch one, it's going to be grim. My daughter was stuck on the tarmac at Gatwick Airport, but she was luckily one of the planes to get out that night in the most amazing cluster of thunderstorms. And Warwickshire was pretty much underwater.
Yeah, my dad was on the south coast and he was driving up to see us in Winchester. We got no rain. He got Armageddon. He got so much rain. And yeah, he just turned up here and went, where is it? Thunderstorms, Dad. It's localized. You don't always get them. But what we've got at the moment, Joe, is this low pressure to the west of us. And it's spiraling around and it's just throwing bits and pieces towards us. So it is the western parts that are seeing most of the thunderstorms at the moment. But that should creep a little bit further east as we head over the weekend. So all of us have the chance of seeing a few, but the heaviest at the moment are definitely in the west.
Even for Saturday morning, there are some creeping into central southern England down towards the southeast as well. And then on Sunday, they become a lot more widespread. So for the first time being on the East Coast, where I hope she'll be safely back by the time these arrive, we might actually walk away unscathed.
You might do. But, you know, so far you've been quite unlucky. While we were all enjoying some mild sunshine, you were under a thick blanket of cloud and wrapped in scarves. And then it began to brighten up a bit and warm up after that. But it didn't reach you for a long time, did it, Joe?
No, it didn't. In fact, it was only really in the last week. And you know, as luck would have it, as that sunshine arrived, I came down with a summer cold, which has pretty much kept me inside all week. Because along with the fine weather, we've obviously had high pollen counts, high UV counts, and then this thing which I hadn't come across before, which is thunder pollen. So where you get a storm and it breaks the pollen apart, you know, what would be a high or a very high count suddenly becomes monstrous-like.
There was something very similar that happened in Adelaide, or maybe it was Melbourne. It was somewhere in Australia and it was really bad. And several people were hospitalized because of it. Like it was severe. I'll have to dig out the facts and put it on our blog.
Be most interesting that. But yes, I don't actually suffer from hay fever, but with the cold and the heat and this pollen flying around. And I thought, you know, something being outside just really isn't very good at the moment. And you know, one of my dogs is a snow dog, so she doesn't like it. She didn't like it very much. It was a bit.
Well, my cats are from the Middle East, so they are loving it.
They're really enjoying it, are they?
They are. They prefer weather that's hotter than the sun. So this is on the way for them. But while we're seeing sort of a slow thundery breakdown here around the globe, the weather's it's likely to change a bit this year and over the next 12 months because we're now officially in El Nino. Before, for about 3 years, we're in La Nina. Very similar sounding names to the non-Spanish speaker, but very different when it comes to the weather. So suddenly Australia's looking at dry weather, at droughts. Same with the sort of southeastern parts of Asia, so Indonesia, Malaysia, that kind of area. Also for Argentina, which is where my in-laws are from, they normally get a drought during La Nina, but El Nino is coming now, so they're likely to have an awful lot of rain. So everything kind of changes a little bit. For the UK, there's not a massive amount of change, but a lot of us do go on holiday over to the States, and there it's better news for hurricanes, because hurricanes are generally suppressed during El Nino year. So hopefully there won't be quite so many ferocious storms as we head through the next 12 months or so.
So you said La Nina has been with us for the last 3 years or so. Now that, hang on, what is it? It's El Nino. El Nino.
El Nino.
La Nina.
Just call it the boy. Now the boy's here.
Okay. Now that we're into the boy weather, how long does he usually stick around for?
He could be, I mean, all of them are a bit like how long is a piece of string? And we're not particularly good at forecasting the changes in the ocean. So we sort of see it usually a little bit late. But he's usually, La Nina is quite a short one. It normally breaks itself up after 12 months. So for 3 years, that's really unusual. El Nino, usually 18 months, something like that. But it changes how it feels like, really.
Now, when we were looking ahead to El Nino coming, which we were earlier in the year, an awful lot of headlines were saying this means we'll see very high temperatures through the summer. And to a certain extent, they weren't wrong, because we have had very high temperatures. The difference is it wasn't down to El Nino. But it does mean slightly warmer conditions for us, doesn't it?
El Nino doesn't usually have that much of an effect here in the UK, but it's elsewhere that you really see the change. So what is happening? So after these thunderstorms, Joe, what's happening here?
Well, I'm not sure there is an after these thunderstorms. They look like they're going to continue into next week. Again, hit and miss. You can't say exactly where they're going to occur. Temperatures and humidity are climbing again from Sunday, I think. So I think they're going to stay quite warm, quite unsettled, quite thundery. But to be fair, it's our turn. We have been hogging the sunshine for some time.
We have, and some parts of Southern Europe have been really very miserable. So it would be nice, if we could just have a pause. I mean, I love the sunshine, don't get me wrong. Just a little bit of a change would be nice. It's as good as a feast after all.
Exactly. And so for next week's square raindrop, it'll be under an umbrella, will it? One with a metal spike in it.
Yeah, get a long metal spike in the thunderstorm. That'll be where I will be. You can take bets on whether I'll make it through the forecast.
Well, we'll take bets for next week. Listen, if you want to contact us, it is
Raindrop, or the email, which is weather@squareraindrop.com.
You are becoming so proficient at that. Contact us if you will, and we'll see you next week.
See you.